Hi everyone. So apologies in advance because this isn't going to be a feel-good video. But I want to take this time to explain to you what one child's life cycle is like in Palestine. And keep in mind, thousands of children are living this as we speak. The average age of children that have been killed in Gaza is 5 years old. So for the sake of this story I'm about to tell you, we'll say this child is a 7-year-old boy. And we'll say his name is Moath, my name in Arabic, but we'll call him Mo for short. So let's get started. In 2016, little Mo was born in the West Bank of Palestine. He has 3 brothers and 2 sisters, and he is the youngest of his siblings. In 2017, Israeli settlers, originally from Brooklyn, New York, showed up to Mo's family's house with guns and forced them out of the house so that they could steal their home and land. You may be asking why didn't Israeli forces or police stop these settlers, but the Israeli forces were the ones actually supervising the land theft. Mo hadn't even turned 1, and he was already a refugee without a home. Mo's father had 2 brothers living in Gaza at the time, and as a result, it was the only place he could think of where he would feel like he's at home. So Mo's entire family makes the trek to Gaza, knowing that that will be the last place they'll ever see. Why, you ask? Because through Israel's laws, it is possible for a Palestinian to travel from the West Bank to Gaza only if they pledge to permanently relocate to Gaza. Why? Because Israel knows that Gaza is under the most stringent, evil, and dehumanizing forms of occupation. So they're completely fine with you traveling there because they know you'll never be able to leave. And you may be asking, then why not stay in the West Bank? Because unlike the West Bank, Gaza doesn't have any Israeli settlers that could at any moment steal your home or even kill you when they please. So most parents would rather be locked in an open-air concentration camp with family than live with the uncertainty of losing their home or being attacked by settlers. Okay, so I'm going to fast forward, and it's now 2021. Mo is 5 years old, and he's riding his bike outside while his older brothers are playing soccer with the neighborhood kids. A couple Israeli soldiers walk up to Mo and begin to taunt and harass him, and then force him off his bike. One soldier steals Mo's bike to take back home with him. But Mo's eldest brother sees this and confronts the soldier. And without hesitation, this soldier pulls his gun out and shoots Mo's eldest brother in the head point blank. Mo is traumatized, and as a reflex, he picks up a rock to throw at the soldier. The soldier evades the rock and then grabs Mo to arrest him and take him into custody without a single adult accompanying him. 5-year-old Mo becomes one of the hundreds of children held in Israeli detention without due process. They hold Mo in detention for a whole year without a court date, and then they decide to let him go after a year's worth of psychological and physical torture. Mo is one of the lucky ones, though, as there are children, especially teens, held there for multiple years before being released. Mo's parents take him home, and on the way back, his father tells him that one of his uncle's entire family was killed in an Israeli airstrike a couple months prior, including his cousin, who was his best friend. Keep in mind, Mo is still only 6 years old at this point. Fast forward again, and it's now August of 2023. Mo's mother was pregnant, and the family was finally feeling a sense of ease and happiness. But then a week later, an airstrike exploded right by Mo's home, killing multiple people, including children. Luckily, Mo's family was safe and unharmed. Fast forward one last time, and Mo is now in post-October 7th, 2023. Food, water, electricity, and fuel had been cut off by Israel, and Mo's family home was bombed, killing his father and 2 older brothers, where only one of the brothers was found while the other lay trapped dead in the rubble. Mo's family had split up into 2 homes, with Mo, his mother, and his 2 sisters in his last remaining uncle's house, while his father and 2 older brothers stayed in their family home. This was to increase chances that some family members will live in case one home gets bombed. The children had all written their names on their wrists in case they all die with no one left to identify them. Mo's mother goes into labor a couple days later and gives birth to a baby girl via C-section without anesthesia, as there is none left. Mo's newborn sister is now in an incubator that is running out of fuel. The day after, leaflets come flying down from the sky, ordering everyone to evacuate northern Gaza, where Mo and his family were at the time, and move to South Gaza, where the Israeli government and forces promised would be a safe zone. But Mo's mother didn't want to leave her baby in the hospital that was on the verge of collapse. And Mo's mother nor the baby would survive if they tried to flee south. So Mo's mother sent him and his sisters with family friends to flee south while Mo's mother risked staying in the hospital with her newborn. Mo and his 2 sisters travel 25 miles south on foot. They make it to a refugee camp. Again, there is no water, food, fuel, or electricity there either. But Mo feels a little more at ease because at least now they're in the safe zone. But Mo's family friends at the same refugee camp receive word that the hospital that Mo's mother was in was bombed and she was killed. As for the newborn, the Israeli forces besieged that hospital and forced everyone to evacuate, including medical personnel, meaning that all newborns in incubators were left to die in the hospital with no care whatsoever. While Mo and his sisters attempt to process this news, a day later, Israeli airstrikes hit Mo's refugee camp in the south, which was deemed the safe zone. And this time the blast kills both of Mo's sisters, and Mo suffers an injury that requires his right leg to be amputated without anesthesia, again, because there's none left. Mo is now 7 years old, missing one leg, and with no family members left. Mo is now one of more than 25,000 orphaned children as a result of the Israeli siege and bombardment. Mo is also one of the 10 children per day that lose a limb in Gaza. I'll repeat, 10 children per day lose a limb in Gaza. If you thought this was all bad, it's not over yet. Again, there's no food, and there's no proper sanitation or adequate healthcare services anymore. As a result, Mo's amputated leg gets infected and he now has sepsis. But that isn't what is ailing him the most at this point. He is now freezing night in and night out, as it is now winter, and he is living in a tent that has been flooded with freezing rain multiple times already. But he is also starving, having not eaten anything for days. A full-blown famine has now hit as a result of Israel's restricted aid, and Mo dies from hunger. The end. Now, if you're thinking, oh, this is just a hypothetical and it doesn't faze me as much, just know that there are thousands of examples of their own real-life iterations of this story. And every part of my story, every sequence of events, has been well documented throughout history, and especially since October 7th. There are children living exactly what I just went through, and even worse, as I can't even imagine what they're going through over there. Dr. Ghassan, who was a surgeon on the ground in Gaza, described it as a genocide of children. So no, I did not reserve a right to embellish. I didn't reserve a right to add more dramatic effect or elements to make this story better. I used literal occurrences that you can find anywhere on the internet of what Palestinians, specifically Palestinian children, are going through right now. Now I ask you one last thing before I end this, and I'm surprised I actually got through this without bawling my eyes out. I was definitely sobbing while I wrote all of this. But here's my last line of questioning. If little Mo had lived at the end of this story, would that have been a happy ending to you? Do you think his suffering would have ended? Do you think after every single thing he went through, his pain and suffering would only be physical? I ask you this because it's easy to harp on all the death and despair happening in Gaza, with the constantly increasing death toll numbers daily. But did you think for a second what those who are living will go through once all is said and done? The torment, the mental torture, depression, and I won't even call it PTSD at this point because it's something far worse. This applies not just to the adults, but all the children as well. So I ask you, does any innocent human on the face of this earth deserve this?